What it do, Internet? David Baugh here, and it's Halloween time. And we haven't done one of these in a little bit, but I figured today we'd do a little bit of story time. I figured we'd do it for the Halloween season and tell the story about how I stayed overnight at a haunted hotel. Let's get into it. Oh, as long as it looks good for the internet. Now, before I begin, this absolutely 100% happened to me. There were witnesses in most of these instances. I guess we were on a field trip. We did a play. We did a one-act play. It was a dance lesson was the name of the play, and we decided at the end of it we were all going to go on a trip because it had been a pretty long process on this trip to this haunted hotel. Legitimately haunted, this place, but it's not. It was in Schulenburg, Texas. I remember we drove all the way out there. I think it was the director knew the guy that owned the hotel that was closed to the public, and rightly so. It was like filthy. There was roaches everywhere. They were crawling all over the walls. It wasn't just like, oh, they had, done it up. It was like just the bare minimum. They had closed this place down. It did have a theater that was underneath it, where they had all of these instruments from the time that the theater was for silent movies, where they would have all these people play, and they just let the instruments decay, and they were still on the stage, and then they would project the movie, and get it going. I think we watched Benchwarmers. It was all right. It was just a sort of spooky little theater, and then there was a hotel on top that was closed to the public. I guess when we first got there, we had gone to this pizza shop that was like around the corner, and we ate food there. It was kind of a creepy building, but I guess me and a friend of mine went to go upstairs. It was just me and this other guy. There's nobody in the hotel. It's a tiny town, and there's just nobody around. And stepped down into the hallway, and at one end it's basically a dead end. There was just furniture piled up in front of this door at the very end of the hallway, and the lights stopped working as you go down this hallway, so it was just pitch black. You couldn't really see anything. It was pretty creepy. And then the other side was like the hallway to get out, and I remember I was standing there, and the door right next to me opened on its own. And I was like, well, that's weird. I'm not one to get afraid at stuff like this, but it was like, that's creepy. And I called my friend out, and I was like, dude, this fucking door just opened on its own. We're in this haunted hotel all by ourselves. He goes to close the door, and I'm standing right there. I can see everything that's happening. He did not close his hand around the door handle at all, and then the door slammed itself shut and hit his hand. And we're both standing. We're the only ones in the hotel. There's literally it's closed to the public. Everybody that we were with is outside. So I'm like, well, maybe there's somebody inside there. Maybe that there wasn't. But I opened the door, and then a picture flew off the wall. Flew, and then hit the ground. It didn't break. The stories that had happened, I guess, the room that I was staying in, there was a guy, and he was getting all these letters that he had from his girlfriend. They were distant. It was a distant relationship or something, and I guess he was told that his wife or girlfriend was gonna break up with him in one letter, and so he, jumped out of the building head first, hit the concrete, and died. And he killed himself. And then they opened the last letter. She was like, "I'm really sorry about this. I didn't mean to do that. I spoke too rashly," and she was trying to make it up with him. So he had killed himself. And then they said that from then on they could hear stuff going around. And we were walking around the hotel. They were telling us all these things, and you just see door handles would jiggle on their own. And I generally made a point of then opening those doors just to see what's on the other side. I remember we're all standing here. Nobody's anywhere near this door. like, and I'm on the edge so I can see everybody. And the door handle starts jiggling on its own, and we're like, what the fuck, you know? And then I open the door, and there's nothing. And it's not, this isn't some elaborate hoax that these guys have. Like, the place is in complete disrepair. There's like mattresses stacked up, there's roaches everywhere, everything is dusty. They had straightened up like the rooms that we were staying in, and we stayed in, you know, I think as girls were on the second floor, boys were on the third floor, and we each had like one or two room. You know, I think we had 4 rooms total. There wasn't anybody. And then I remember that night we went on a walk around town, and there's just no one in this town. 9 o'clock rolled around, and it's just dead. All of the shops are closed. There wasn't any residential area around us or anything like that. But as soon as it got dark, you know, we were kind of left to our own devices in this haunted hotel we were staying at. So we went up to the 3rd floor. And like I said, at the end of the hallway, it's just black, you know. It's just eerie. They had boarded up the windows. So there was, like, doors open on either side of the hallway, but the windows were blacked out, so there was no light coming in. So you look down this hallway, and it's just completely inky black. And so we had a glow-in-the-dark Ouija board that we broke out, which was stupid. So we went in this dark room. Like, we walked down the hallway. We were gonna go into the room all the way at the end of the hallway. We wanted to find the creepiest place that we could find to do it. And we went all the way down to the end, and there was just furniture stacked up in front of this the door at the very end of the hallway. So we went to the door right next to it, and it's just this empty room with like a single twin bed, and then there was tape over both windows, and then I want to say there was also newspaper across it, so there was like an X across it, and you couldn't really see much, but we had a glow-in-the-dark Ouija board, and I guess we had some flashlights on our phone, although I didn't at the time. You know, it was just totally black, and we were playing with the Ouija board, and it definitely responded. You know, and it's been so long ago, it's hard to remember what questions we ask it anymore. But I remember specifically that it spelled out a name that I had never heard before. I couldn't even begin to remember the name that it spelled out. But that whole night, I was asleep there. You could just hear like a knife scraping across a pipe all night. You could also hear footsteps outside the door. And there's nobody... There's nobody around. The hotel is completely closed down. And so it's like 3 a.m. and you hear, you know, like laughter. And it's like, this isn't... And we both heard it. It legitimately was there. It's just an odd experience. But I did make it through the night, you know, and I remember we went outside and we took this group photo, which I don't have the photo anymore, but I remember me and my friend were on opposite ends of this. There was a few of us here in this crowd, and I remember we reached out and we like tried to touch fingers across the thing, and in the photo there was an orb right in the middle, and we went to get our luggage out on the side of the building in the back where we hadn't been. We only found out about this, it was like a loading dock. There was zero reason for anybody to be over there the whole night, you know. The name that it spelled out on the Ouija board in the room was on a plaque on the wall of this place. I don't know how I feel about ghost stuff, you know. Do I believe that there's more out there than I know about specifically? Absolutely. Am I afraid of it? No, not really. But it all happened. It was a really weird experience. I don't remember why we did it. It had nothing at all to do with the play that we had done. And it was hours outside of town that we had to drive, but it's just an unsettling experience that was like, all these people that had died there. It's supposed to be haunted by several ghosts. And all of us individually experienced something. I mean, we were all around when the door handles were jiggling. And part of me thinks that maybe it was made up. But it was just so run down. It was clearly not taken care of in the slightest. They didn't even have the ability to handle basic hotel things. So it seemed to me, and it wasn't like made up to look creepy. It was just a shitty hotel. It was just like, and it's not like that town is known for anything. It's not like it's a tourist spot, or that I had ever heard anything else about that hotel. I don't even remember what it was called anymore. But I definitely saw some shit. I definitely watched a painting fly off the wall. Nobody around it. And I walked into that room. There was 0 places you could hide. You know, and and I know it's one of those stories, you know, it's hard to do a story time on it because it's like, well, nobody's going to fucking believe any of this. And I got 0 reason, you know, I don't care what you guys think. I would like to think that, you know, you would like, comment, and subscribe. But, you know, it is what it is. I don't know. Some ghost shit that you can't explain. Like, I held the painting in my hand. There were no strings attached. The nail was in at an angle, so it was like sitting down on top of it, so it had to like come up and off. Weird. But that's all I have for you guys today. It was a pleasure as always, and you have a wonderful evening.